So over the last kind of like, year or so, the probably most common question I get is, if you were to build a campervan again, not any type of campervan, but a proper off-grid campervan, what sort of campervan would it be and what would you put in it? So in this video, I'm going to go over that. I've got myself a list of all the kind of fundamentals that I'd certainly go for, and I'm going to explain kind of like each step of why I'd come to that conclusion. So let's get to the kind of like nuts of it straight away. What van would I choose? And I know a lot of you out there choose Sprinters or VWs or whatever, but as you know, I've got a Fiat. There's one difference about the Fiat Ducato, which is also the Citroen Relay and the Peugeot Boxer. And that is that it's wide enough at the back for you to sleep across the back and not that way like most people in the Sprinter or VW or whatever have to do. So you've got the ability to have a shorter van because you can sleep that way. I've had two of them and they've been very reliable. Yeah, I know there's people like Mevy out there that's had problems. Every van has problems. I mean, how many Sprinter vans do you see people that say, oh, this doesn't work and this doesn't work? You know, if you follow Mel's Van World, he bought one and it was a bit of a mess and he's had to fix loads of things. Plenty of people have problems with plenty of vans, and I guess it's the history of the van that you should be more kind of thoughtful about, or to expect to do like big mechanical kind of checks and overhauls when you buy it to make sure it's going to be able to last the duration of how long you want to keep it or what you want to do with it. What do I mean by that? Well, say for example you want to go kind of like proper off-grid and you want to really get in there and, you know, get off the beaten track as much as possible. You need to make sure the vehicle's gearbox is all right, the engine's all right, and the running gear's all right. You want to make sure the brake's okay, the clutch is all right, suspension. And those types of things, they don't really require a lot of money or a lot of kind of like thought about them. Just check them, make sure they're okay, or replace them. Like I replaced the rear springs, leaf springs, and I replaced the rear shock absorbers, and together it was about £280. With shipping, maybe about £300, and I did it myself, and both kind of tasks took me about 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours. So it's something quite easy to do, and that's raised the kind of like, you know, the part of the van with all the bits underneath it, like your water tanks, gas tanks or whatever. So it means I can go more places off-road without worrying about catching things. So I do like the new Ford Transit, and I think if I was going to build an off-road camper to go anywhere, I might try the Ford Transit. I mean, yeah, the only thing most people say about the Ford Transits are that they get broken into quite easily. But other than that, they're pretty rock solid vans. Yeah, you do have the problem where they're not as wide at the back, but the new one does look pretty cool. So if we're going to choose a van, and this is all hypothetical, if I was going to choose a van to do it again, I think I'd choose the Ford Transit, the new Ford Transit. I think that is what I choose as the base model to do my go anywhere kind of like off-road, off-grid, you know, self-sufficient camper van. Now you know what van I'd choose. Let me tell you about what I put inside it. And this isn't my recommendation of, you know, how I think you should build your van. This is me building a van where I can go out into the wilderness for 7 days without touching any shops, anywhere for water or power or anything like that. I can really go out there and get some epic locations and be there for 7 days. I'd start off with power, so batteries. I'd go for at least 250 amp of working power. A lot of you might say, well, why haven't you gone for double that, John, or more or whatever? And the reason that is because you've got to be able to charge those batteries. As someone who edits videos like this, charges mobile phones, uses cameras and do all that kind of tech stuff, I need to be able to charge my batteries every day to charge, you know, my devices every day. So there's no point having such a massive array of batteries that the majority of everything that's in my van can't charge. So let's come on to solar for that. Solar to charge 250 amp hour batteries. I mean, it'd be nice if you had a kilowatt of solar on the roof, but I'd go for around about 500 watts. And the reason why I say that is because I've got a 360 watt panel on there now, and it's nice getting, you know, a decent charge, but Greg's got 3 160 watt panels and he's getting a better charge than me wherever we go. So I get to as close as 500 watts of solar charge that I possibly could. And yeah, just as much as you can get on the roof without it being stupid, I guess, is where I'm going with that one. Along with charging as well, if you are going to drive somewhere, I'd want a B2B and a 60 amp B2B, mainly because then if you are in the dire circumstance of it being really bad weather, that you've not been able to get any solar for days, so you're running out of power and all that, you can just basically turn the engine over for maybe a couple of hours, or go for a drive for a couple of hours, and then you've got a big boost back into your batteries then. So yeah, B2B, something like a Sterling or something like that, 68 amp charger B2B, that'd be great. They're also called DC to DC as well. B2B is battery to battery. I'd go for a compressor fridge, a 12 volt compressor fridge. Two kind of reasons on that one. They are massively efficient on power, and they also really keep their cool inside. So that's why I'd choose that one. We've currently got LPG, we've got a 3-way fridge. It's a 10 amp load on 12 volts, and it's not that great. So it can completely deplete our batteries overnight, and it just about gets the fridge to about 5 to 6 degrees when it's about 20 degrees outside. Whereas the compressor fridge that we had in our last camper van, just like the compressor fridge Greg's got, when it's 20 degrees outside, it's freezing things in the freezer compartment inside, and it's kind of like down to a couple of degrees in the fridge part inside. And roughly speaking, you know, when the actual compressor's running, it might take something like an amp, maybe an amp and a half. They are 10 amp rated. So, you know, I suppose at worst, when you first switch it on with loads of stuff in there, it might run solid for 8 hours and take a few amps out of your battery. But over a 12-hour period, they're roughly going to take about 3 to 5 amps out of your battery, which is nothing really for the fridge running. So yeah, definitely go for a 12 volt compressor fridge on that. Plus it saves bothering with LPG. I'm not saying LPG is more difficult to come by than it should be, but if you look, there are more garages that are closing down the sale of LPG than there are garages that are actually starting up selling LPG. And that tells you one thing: LPG is going to become more difficult to get hold of. So that's why I would try and rely less on LPG. Saying that, my next component is going to be a diesel heater. And that's for the LPG kind of like, you know, scenario. Plus the fact that a diesel heater, you can tap into your diesel vehicle fuel tank, and therefore you don't need to carry an extra kind of like, you know, tank around with you, worry about it to be able to heat yourself. There are now some really clever devices that actually it's a diesel heater, but as it's heating, it's got some water pipes that kind of like spiral around the heater. So as you're heating, you can hook it up to a water tank, a hot water tank, and have that pump through that hot water, and therefore you can have a store of hot water as well then. So you can actually get hot water and heating out of a diesel heater these days. And for the size of van I'm looking for, 6 metre thereabouts, a 3 kilowatt hour diesel heater is perfectly fine. The 5 kilowatt hour one will just absolutely bake you inside, whereas the 3 kilowatt hour one should be fine. The next one we're going to come down to is cooking. Again, LPG. Worry about LPG? Well, it might be worth getting your cooker fitted up to just a normal gas tank. What I say, like a Calagas or something like that. The downside is when you come abroad, the regulator and the gas tank itself might be completely different in size and flow rate and everything else. So again, going off grid, just be cautious about where you want to go and the compatibility of things like that. Yes, if you built an LPG tank into your van, a refillable LPG tank, chances are you'll be all right. If you're just using LPG for cooking, you know, you should get a couple of months out of it. So your 7 days kind of limit, that's going to be easy then. As an example, we've got a 27 litre LPG tank in our van. We use it, like I say, for the fridge, for heating, for hot water, and for cooking. And as long as it's warmish outside, so as long as it's above kind of like 10 to 15 degrees outside, the heating's not on very much at all, maybe just one blast a day. And for the fridge and cooking, it's going to last us at least 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. If we're in a colder area, then it can be as little as 1 week. So bear that in mind with your LPG. Like I say, If you do go for the gas bottles for cooking, it's maybe a better one. There are even diesel hot plate kind of cookers as well. So yeah, they're pretty cool. If you can do that, you can obviously still tap into your diesel tank, and then you're all sorted. The other thing that I do as well is to make sure that you have enough food for 7 days. If you're going to be off-grid for 7 days, make sure you build yourself a larder kind of storage area. The best way to do that is fit it as low as possible in a cupboard, and have drop vents in a cupboard. So maybe you fit it next to your gas bottle or where all your gas valves are, put all your drop vents in there in through your floor for the gas to escape, and make that your larder cupboard for your food bits and stuff like that, and that should be cool too. Another one, really, again, it's kind of like climate dependent, is the ability to dry wet clothes, especially if you've got a dog. Your dog gets dirty, you need to bath it down, you need to wash yourself and have a shower or whatever like that. What I'd say for that is that you build something called, and CJ from Project Amber I think coined this one first, a shoilet. So it's a toilet cubicle built around a shower kind of tray, and in there you put your toilet, like a porta potty style or something like that. So you've got the ability to have that with a rail at the top to dry your clothes, obviously from your hot air diesel heater. Put a duct in there so that you can basically blow warm air into it, have a fan at the top, that'll suck the moisture out, it'll circulate the warm air going in at the bottom, and it turns itself into a really cool drying room. Like I say, shower, toilet, drying room, little cubicle over a small shower tray, that should be fine. The other thing is obviously carrying water. We've got a 70 litre water tank. There are 2 of us in there and a dog, and that can easily last a week. We've got water filtration on there for the drinking side. That's been fine as well. As you know, if you've been watching our channel, we also carry a water testing kit, and that testing kit is used every time we go and fill up. We test the water to make sure that before we fill our tanks up, it's going to be kind of like a decent quality, and then we know that the water filter is going to take any nasty tastes or, you know, particulates or anything like that out of it. It's not obviously go to a river and fill it up, it's nothing like that. So yeah, that's my kind of like clue on that one, is just to basically carry enough water for 7 days too. Like I said, the type of the van I choose and the way I'd fit it out, I would try and keep the van as lightweight as possible. So there's no tongue and groove in there, there's nothing like that. You know, you are just going to keep everything nice and minimal and lightweight. Use fabrics on the ceiling and the sides rather than heavy woods and things like that. You can basically get, you know, very thin, like almost cardboard type sort of MDF, and then put fabric over it and make that your finish, so that you're keeping the weight down as much as possible. Short length as well, ours is a 6 metre. Short length vans, well, they're better for manoeuvrability around town centres. You know, car parks like, you know, Aldi, Lidl's, Tesco's, wherever you go. Spoken about the raised suspension for the ability to go off-road, getting over crests and all that kind of stuff, going through, fording rivers and everything. You want to raise the van as high as you can. And a good way around that, and an additional thing that you do need, are all-terrain tyres, and get a highest side wall as possible. What do I mean by that? Well, if you look at your tyres, it might say, you know, something like 235 1770s. So the 235 is 235mm width of the tyre, the actual bit that hits the road. The 17 is the 17-inch rim. I know, why do millimetres and then inches? I have no idea. And then the last one, 70 or 75, is the percentage of the actual tread width of the tyre. So the 255 as a height of the sidewall. So that's pretty much the way it works against the rim. So you want to get a massive sidewall, because that helps raise the van off the floor too. It also makes the van far more comfortable to ride, and it can level out all those bumps and troughs and bad roads and all that kind of stuff as well. So I hope that's covered the kind of like few questions I do get asked, i.e., John, if you're going to build a camper again, what would it be? Well, I've covered that one. It's going to be a Ford Transit probably if I'm going to do it. The reason I keep saying if, we are going to kind of talk about this in another video, but we are probably replacing our van, and I won't be building another one, because simply I haven't got the money to go out and buy another van, somewhere to store it, the time to build it, and everything else while we're living in a van is going to be extremely difficult to do. So we're probably going to buy a pre-built van ourselves, and maybe at a later stage when I've got somewhere like a workshop or something I can use, I might then build another van for us. I don't know right now, but that's why this is all kind of hypothetical. You've asked me, what would I do? Not what can I do? And this is what I would do if I wanted to build another van to go anywhere and be a proper kind of like off-grid camper. So, any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comments section down below. You guys keep sending me emails saying they don't know how to comment. So I'll give you a kind of like a bit of a hint on your phone. If it's about 50-50 TV or computer phone, whatever kind of thing, whichever way you view it. Simply easy enough. You just go to the video, you'll get a little down arrow there at the end, so you'll see the title, a little down arrow at the end there on the right, hit that, and that allows you to then see the video description, and any links or anything like that will appear again. That's where all that kind of information is every time we talk to you about that. So it's the video title, the little down arrow, and then that shows you the video description where all the links are. So I hope that helps. On a desktop computer, you'll basically see the same thing where it'll show the title and everything else, and then you'll see a little thing that says show more. You click show more on the computer, and then you get to see the video description again. So the next, I suppose, while we're on the same subject, is people say, how do I comment on my phone? Well, if you simply scroll down a little bit past the other video suggestions, you will come to the bit where you can leave a comment. So that's down right at the bottom. You'll find all the comments, and you can leave a comment, you can reply to other people's comments, you can do all that. So hope that's cleared that one up. So yeah, any comments, suggestions, please do leave them in the comments section down below. Or you can also obviously get in touch via our website as well, gjot.uk. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.